Then Joseph went and told Pharaoh,
My father and my brothers, their flocks and their herds and all that they possess, have come from the land of Canaan, and indeed they are in the land of Goshen.
and he took 5 men from among his brothers.
Canaan was the land that God promised Abraham, right? So that is odd that they left the land that God had promised them. Well, I mean, God said, don't be afraid, go to Egypt, right? So.
And presented them to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to his brothers,
What is your occupation?
Your servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers.
We have come to dwell in the land, because your servants have no pasture for their flocks, for the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. Now therefore, please, let your servants dwell in the land.
Oh, okay. So they were thinking it's going to be like a temporary thing. Just because the famine was so severe.
Goshen.
Then Pharaoh spoke to Joseph,
Your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is before you. Have your father and brothers dwell in the best of the land. Let them dwell in the land of Goshen. And if you know any competent men among them, then make them chief herdsmen over my livestock.
I feel like Pharaoh would have given them Goshen without them even saying that they were shepherds. You know? It seems like he's ever willing to help Joseph and his family out because of what Joseph did for Egypt.
And Joseph brought in his father Jacob and set him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Jacob,
Jacob
How
blessed
old are
Pharaoh.
you?
The days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have been the days of the years of my life, and they have not attained to the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage.
So Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh. And Joseph situated his father and his brothers and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramesses.
So that's Ramesses. That's where he was named after. I wonder if there was another Ramesses and they named that land after him.
As Pharaoh had commanded. Then Joseph provided his father, his brothers, and all his father's household with bread, according to the number in their families. Now there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the grain which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. So when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph.
Give us bread, for why should we die in your presence? For the money has failed.
Give your livestock, and I will give you bread for your livestock, if the money is gone.
So they brought their livestock to Joseph. And Joseph gave them bread in exchange for the horses, the flocks, the cattle of the herds, and for the donkeys. Thus he fed them with bread in exchange for all their livestock that year. When that year had ended, they came to him the next year.
Oh, all
and
the
said to
livestock
him,
that year. So I'm guessing all the ones that were born that year.
We will not.
Man, their livestock is like a harvest. The harvest of livestock that year.
Hide from my lord that our money is gone. My lord also has our herds of livestock. There is nothing left in the sight of my lord but our bodies and our lands. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants of Pharaoh. Give us seed, that we may live and not die, that the land may not be desolate.
This is Joseph's family talking, right? Or am I going... Did I miss something? Now there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, for the grain which they brought. And Joseph brought the money to Pharaoh's house. So when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, "Give us bread, for why should we die in your presence? For the money has failed." Right? Because honestly, what is money? Money is, for them, I think they used weight, right? Like a weight in gold or silver and everything. But they didn't even that. What's more important? Sustenance, like actually something that you can, like food, you know what I mean? Okay, then Joseph said, "Give your life to the Egyptians. Give your livestock, and I will give you bread for your livestock. If the money is gone. So they brought their livestock, blah, 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 blah. Buy us and our land for bread. The Egyptians are telling Joseph, buy us and our land for bread. Basically, they're willing to give up everything for food so they won't die. That's crazy.
That year. Then Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh.
That's
For
perfect.
every man of the Egyptians sold his field, because the famine was severe upon them. So the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he moved them into the cities, from one end of the borders of Egypt to the other end. Only the land of the priests he did not buy, for the priests had rations allotted to them by Pharaoh, and they ate their rations which Pharaoh gave them. Therefore, they did not sell their lands. Then Joseph said to the people,
I'm surprised he didn't get rid of the priests when they couldn't help out with the whole famine issue, right?
Indeed, I have bought you and your land this day for Pharaoh. Look, here is seed for you, and you shall sow the land.
That's
And
crazy.
it shall come to pass in the harvest that you shall give 1/5 to Pharaoh. 4/5 shall be your own.
And it shall come to pass in the harvest that you shall give 1/5 to Pharaoh, and 4/5 shall be your own, as seed for the field and for your food, for those of your households, as food for your little ones. So it's seed. I thought it's seed that they grind to make flour and then make bread with. But they're apparently, or you know what I mean? Like whatever, you know what I mean? From the hay, or not from the hay, whatever it's called. I don't know. But, so they're actually going to plant it and have harvest. How does that work with the famine, right? Like the bad shears are eating the good shears for 7 years, right? So how can they harvest? But apparently they're giving 1/5 of their harvest to Pharaoh and keeping 4/5. And it shall come to pass in the harvest. Let's see what this Bible has got to say. 47:24. I bet you he's not going to say anything. Yep, doesn't say anything. Oh, wait, no. Here it is. With the land now in the possession of the state, Joseph imposed a system of taxation on the people. Come on, man. The state supplied the seed for planting, but 1/5 of the proceeds became the property of Pharaoh. This became standard practice in Egypt. The people responded with gratitude because Joseph had saved their lives. Okay, so it looks like they could plant and stuff was growing. Well, that's good. All right, but think about this. Let's say there was no tax, right? because we don't like the government taking our money, right? So if you don't give that 1/5 to Pharaoh, the reason why, the priests need to eat, right? Hold up. The priests didn't have to pay taxes either?
Sow the land, and it shall come to pass in the harvest that you shall give 1/5 to Pharaoh. 4/5 shall be your own, a seed for the field and for your food, for those of your households, and as food for your little ones.
You have saved our lives. Let us find favor in the sight of my Lord, and we will be Pharaoh's servants.
And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt to this day that Pharaoh should have 1/5, except for the land of the priests only, which did not become Pharaoh's.
All right, so the pharaohs didn't have to pay taxes because they didn't give up their land. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt to this day that Pharaoh should have 1/5, except for the land of the priests only, which did not become Pharaoh's, right? Okay. So they sold their land. The Egyptians sold their land to Pharaoh to buy seed. And because now the land is, but they moved them to the cities. They said they moved them to the cities.
Had rations allotted.
So the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he moved them into the cities from one end of the borders of Egypt to the other. Right? So this part over here, I don't understand. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt to this day that Pharaoh should have 1/5, except for not really there. What I'm basically getting at is where are they planting the seed to grow if they moved into the cities? Look, here's seed for you, and you shall sow the land. I get it. You give 1/5 to Pharaoh because now that land that was yours is owned by Pharaoh. So anything you grow on it, you keep 4/5 and you give 1/5 to Pharaoh. But they don't live there anymore. They live in the cities. So they just come back all the way across, right? Because it said it was, where is it? From one end of the borders of Egypt to the other. So that's a big move. Does this Bible say anything? I bet you it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And I feel like I'm not going to find anything if I look it up. What do you guys think? Should we look it up? Let's look it up. 1/5 to Pharaoh. Let's see. 1/5 tax to Pharaoh. Is that how I spell Pharaoh? The first income tax. Okay. Yeah, that is not how you spell Pharaoh. All right. Yeah, let's see what it says. Oh no. How taxes were collected. No, this is not what I'm looking for. That's too nope. What should we type? Harvest? Land? Let's type it in keywords here, see if something comes up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on it. All right, you guys, let me know down in the description if you guys have any insight on that. Because if they were moved from their little homestead out in the country, right, to the cities, where are they growing? Where are they harvesting the seed that they planted? Where are they planting in order to harvest if they're not on their land, which is not owned by them anymore? So it makes sense if they are still on their land and they have to pay 1/5 of their harvest to Pharaoh because Pharaoh now owns that land, right? But they're not on that land anymore. Or did some move to the cities and the others stayed on the land? I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section your insight, because I would be very interested to know.
Ate their rations which Pharaoh gave them. Therefore, they did not sell their lands.
I think that was an explanation right there.
They had rations allotted to them by Pharaoh, and they ate their rations which Pharaoh gave them.
Where are we?
By Pharaoh, and Egypt to the other end. Only the land of the priests he did not buy, for the priests had rations allotted to them by Pharaoh, and they ate their rations which Pharaoh gave them. They did a law over the land of Egypt to this.
All right.
And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, in the country of Goshen, and they did a law over the land of Egypt to this day, that Pharaoh should have 1/5, except for the land of the priests only, which did not become Pharaoh's. So Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt.
That sucks, because the pharaohs don't have to pay taxes, and they kept their land, and they got provided food too. That's a huge benefit right there.
In the country of Goshen, and they had possessions there, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the length of Jacob's life was 147 years. When the time drew near that Israel must die, he called his son Joseph.
Now, if I have found favor in your sight, please put your hand under my thigh and deal kindly and truly with me.
I still don't
Please
understand
do
that.
not bury me in Egypt,
That tradition.
but let me lie with my
Put
fathers.
your hand under my
You shall
thigh.
carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burial place.
I will do as you have said.
Swear to me.
And he swore to him. So Israel bowed himself on the head of the bed.
All right, here's an explanation for that. Your hand under my thigh. The action suggests a most solemn and binding promise for the same sign between Abraham and his servant. Yeah, because we saw them doing that then, and we had that question. 48.
Now it came to pass after these things that Joseph was told,
Indeed, your father is sick.
and he took with him his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And Jacob was told,
Look, your son Joseph is coming to you.
and Israel strengthened himself and sat up on the bed. Then Jacob said to Joseph,
God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me and said to me, Behold, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will make of you a multitude of people, and give this land to your descendants after you as an everlasting possession. And now your 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to you in the land of Egypt before I came to you in Egypt, are mine, as Reuben and Simeon. They shall be mine. Your offspring whom you beget after them shall be yours. They will be called by the name of their brothers in their inheritance. But as for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died beside me in the land of Canaan on the way, when there was but a little distance to go to Ephrath, and I buried her there on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem.
Then Israel saw Joseph's sons.
Who are these?
They are my sons, whom God has given me in this place.
Please bring them to me, and I will bless them.
Now the eyes of Israel were dim with age, so that he could not see. Then Joseph brought them near him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph,
I had not thought to see your face, but in fact, God has also shown me your offspring.
So Joseph brought them from beside his knees,
that's
and he
weird.
bowed down with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh with his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near him. Then Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, guiding his hands knowingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph.
God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has fed me all my life long to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads. Let my name be named upon them, and the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth.
Now when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim, it displeased him. So he took hold of his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father,
Not so, my father, for this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand
Uh-oh. That Jacob and Esau.
on his head.
But his father refused.
I know, my son, I know. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly, his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his descendants shall become a multitude of nations.
So he blessed them that day.
By you Israel
How does he
will
know that?
bless, saying, May God make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh.
And thus he set Ephraim before Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph,
Behold, I am dying, but God will be with you.
Did
and
God
bring you
reveal it to
back."
him that the younger one will be greater? Or is he just guessing? Because he stole the birthright from Esau, and he was the younger one, and
Back to the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to you one portion above your brothers, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword and my bow.
why? His brothers needed more than him. All right, let's jump into 49. That was a short one. But see, like, Jacob is going to be buried in Canaan. So why leave Canaan to come to Egypt? Why not? I mean, I know why, because they need the food. But why didn't they go back? I mean, that's the land that God promised them. Why stick around till they got enslaved? Why, after the famine, they should just head back to their promised land?
And Jacob called his sons.
Gather together, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the last days. Gather together and hear, you sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity and the excellency of power.
All right, now you're showing him some love. Okay. How many years did it take?
Unstable as water, you shall not excel, because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it. He went up to my couch. Simeon and Levi are brothers.
What? What? 49:5. Jacob began with warm words of praise to Reuben, his firstborn, for his birth. But he ended with the rebuke of Reuben's presumptuous actions with Bilhah. By going to his father's bed, Reuben was attempting to solidify his claim as the firstborn son. In fact, he doomed his cause. Oh wait, so he had relations with the girl in his dad's bed? I do not remember that. 35:22. I told you, this entire family from Abraham on, there's too much drama. 35:22. And it happened when Israel dwelt in that land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. Why did I not remember that? Yeah, okay. So he's holding a grudge. It's not even his wife. It was just his concubine. Come on, man.
Instruments of cruelty are in their dwelling place.
You're literally on your deathbed, and you're talking bad about your son because he slept with your concubine. How many years ago? Come on.
Let not my soul enter their counsel. Let not Levi our brothers up to your father's bed. Then you defiled it. He went up to my couch. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Instruments
Aren't they
of
all
cruelty
brothers?
are in their dwelling place. Let not my...
Why are you being mean to your sons on your deathbed?
My soul enter their counsel. Let not my honor be united to their assembly.
Don't you want them to
For
be
in their anger
to change and
they
be better?
slew a man, and in their self-will they hamstrung an ox.
Like if you're giving up, you completely letting them know that you gave up on them, and you're saying, okay, you guys are worthless on your deathbed. What do you think? Why would they change? They're not going to change. Give them a reason to change, to be better.
Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Judah, you are he whom your brothers shall praise. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's children shall bow down before you. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up.
Why? Reuben was the one that didn't want Joseph to be thrown and to be killed or sold, right? It was Reuben. So why Judah was one of the so that means Judah was one of the ones that wanted Joseph dead, and went along with him being sold. So
he bows down, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion, who shall rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the people, binding his donkey to the vine, and his donkey's colt to the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of...
What is Shiloh? Shiloh is an obscure word, probably meaning the one to whom it belongs. That is until the one to whom all royal authority belongs, comes. The tribe of Judah, that was a capital O, by the way, of one. The tribe of Judah will always have a lawgiver in its ranks. Shiloh, like seed, is a name for the coming Messiah. Shiloh is a name for the coming Messiah, and they named a beagle Shiloh, right? Isn't Shiloh the name of that dog? Oops. I thought Shiloh was a dog. Yeah. That's Shiloh. Dang it. No,
Clothes in the blood of grapes as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a scepter to Sidon. You are he whom your brothers shall praise. Judah is a lion, down as a lion, and as a lion, who shall rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the people, binding his donkey to the vine, and his donkey's colt to the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine, and his teeth whiter than milk. Zebulun shall dwell by the haven of the sea. He shall become a haven for ships, and his border shall adjoin Sidon. Issachar is a strong donkey. Lying down between two burdens, he saw that rest was good, and that the land was pleasant. He bowed his shoulder to bear a burden, and became a band of slaves. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, a viper by the path, that bites the horse's heels so that its rider shall fall backward. I have waited for your salvation, O Lord. Gad, a troop shall tramp upon him, but he shall triumph at last.
Yeah, what does that serpent thing mean? Let's see. A viper by the path. That possibly means that some sort of Dan's descendants would abandon their faith in the Lord. Yet the godly can still expect salvation from the Lord.
Last. Bread from Asher shall be
And the Issachar thing, where is that? Regarding Issachar is strong as a donkey, blah, blah, blah. He bowed his shoulders to bear a burden and became a band of slaves. What does that mean? Jacob's words to Issachar portend a heavy enslavement following a time of plenty. For the birth of Issachar, see 30, 14, 18. Okay, that's fine. For Issachar's allotment, compare Joshua 19, 17, 23. Became a band. So is Issachar's descendants the slaves in Egypt? I would assume it's all of them because they're all there in Goshen.
Shall judge his people. A fruit horse's heels, so that it's as one of the tribes.
Where are we?
Of Israel.
All right.
I've waited for your salvation, O Lord. Gad, a troop shall tramp upon him, but he shall triumph at last.
How is he getting so specific with these things? Like, did this stuff come true?
Bread from Asher.
Gad, a troop shall trample upon him. Although the tribe of Gad will endure hardship, ultimate victory is promised. All right. Do we have that documented? I want to know what hardship he endured and what is his victory.
Shall be rich, and he shall yield royal dainties. Naphtali is a deer let
Yeah, this is
loose.
extremely
He uses beautiful
particular
words.
and specific.
Joseph is a fruitful bough by a well. His branches run over the wall. The archers have bitterly grieved him, shot at him, and hated him, but his bow remained in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. By the God of your father who will help you, and by the Almighty who will bless you with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lies beneath, blessings of the breasts and of the womb. The blessings of your father have excelled the blessings of my ancestors, up to the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him who was separate from his brothers. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil.
All these are the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is what their
Dang, Benjamin is a ravenous wolf, and in the morning he shall devour the prey? What? 27. Benjamin, the image of a wolf, is ominous. For Benjamin's birth and death of his mother Rachel. Oh, Rachel died in childbirth. Yeah, he's being very specific about all these things. And this Bible is not giving any. It's only talking about their birth and all that stuff. I want to see how these things came to pass.
Their father spoke to them, and he blessed them. He blessed each one according to his own blessing.
Them. Because
Then
those
he
first couple
charged
brothers,
them.
they didn't get any blessings.
I am to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field of Ephron the Hittite as a possession for a burial place. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife.
AKA
There
half-sister.
they buried Isaac and Rebekah his wife.
AKA first
And
cousin.
there I buried Leah. The field
I think that was
and
relative
the
also.
cave that is there were purchased from the sons of Heth.
And when Jacob had finished commanding his sons, he drew his feet up into the bed and breathed his last, and was gathered to his people.
Oops. All right. Last chapter of Genesis.
Then Joseph fell on his father's face, and wept over him, and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. So the physicians embalmed Israel. 40 days were required for him.
Wait,
For
let
such
me read this part real quick right here. The 12 tribes of Israel, right? Regarding them. Jacob's blessings are prophecies about the destiny of each tribe. Some of the blessings are obscure, but some of them are really particular and specific. But the blessings on Judah and Joseph are clear prophecies from God about their destinies. Yeah, those were obvious. Blessings of the tribes of his were about their destinies. Moses' blessings of the tribes of Israel, Deuteronomy 33. We'll get to all that, I guess. Yeah, no, I thought they would explain something a little bit there, but they didn't. Okay, let's keep going.
Other days required for those who are embalmed, and the Egyptians mourned for him 70 days. Now when the days of his mourning were past, Joseph spoke to the household of Pharaoh.
If now I have found favor in your eyes, please speak in the hearing of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, Behold, I am dying. In my grave which I dug for myself in the land of Canaan, there you shall bury me. Now therefore, please, let me go up and bury my father, and I will come back.
And Pharaoh said,
Go up and bury your father, as he made you swear.
So Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh.
I'm just thinking. So the Egyptians had tombs, right? Are tombs considered burying? I'm just curious, because I think Joseph was put in a tomb, right? Is that considered a burial? Like a if they were put in a pyramid that's made out of stone, which is from the ground. Is that considered a burial? I don't know. I don't think so.
The elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, as well as all the house of Joseph, his brothers, and his father's house. Only their little ones, their flocks, and their herds they left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great gathering. Then they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond the Jordan, and they mourned there with a great and very solemn lamentation. He observed 7 days of mourning for his father. And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning at the threshing floor of Atad, they said,
This is a deep mourning of the Egyptians.
Therefore its name was called Abel Mizraim,
They thought they were
which is
Egyptian.
beyond the Jordan. So his sons did for him just as he had commanded them. For his sons carried him to the land of Canaan, and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, which Abraham bought with the field from Ephron, the Hittite, as property for a burial place. And after he had buried his father, Joseph
I like that Moses referenced that there again, just to remind.
Had buried his father, Joseph returned to Egypt, he and his brothers, and all who went up with him to bury his father. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said,
Perhaps Joseph will hate us, and may actually repay us for all the evil which we did to him.
So they sent messengers.
Just a random question. How does Moses know the dialogue of what happened before he was even alive? How did God reveal these events to him? That's an interesting thought.
To Joseph.
Before your father died, he commanded, saying, Thus you shall say to Joseph, I beg you, please forgive the trespass of your brothers and their sin, for they did evil to you. Now please, forgive the trespass of the servants of the God of your father.
And Joseph wept when they spoke to him. Then his brothers also went and fell down before his face.
Behold, we are your servants.
Do not be afraid, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people alive. Now therefore, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your little ones.
And he comforted them and spoke kindly to them.
All right, yeah, you did all that, but you don't have to say, but as for you, you meant evil against me. We already been through all that, right? You messed with them when they came to get the grain, and you kept them in jail, and then you let them go, brought Benjamin and all that stuff, and then you revealed yourself, and they bowed down and hugged and cried and all that stuff. But yet you don't have to bring it up again, make them feel bad, and then say, hey, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you and your kids. You know? I mean, Joseph is a bit of a drama queen, so...
So Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's household. And Joseph lived 110 years.
All right, there we go.
Joseph saw
Finally, someone under the 120-year cap. I don't know why God said that he's going to cap it at 120 years when everybody's been living over 120. You got 170, 150, 130.
Ephraim's children to the third generation. The children of Machir, the son of Manasseh, were also brought up on Joseph's knees.
That's pretty crazy.
And Joseph said to his brethren,
I am dying.
How many of his brothers
But
died before
God
him?
will surely visit you and bring you out of this land to the land of which he swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob.
I mean, they've been living in that land before they came to Egypt.
And Joseph took an oath from the children of Israel.
God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from here.
So Joseph died, being 110 years old. And they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt. 100.
Yeah, he was put in a coffin like an Egyptian. And bombed, and he's put in a coffin in Egypt. I mean, you could still bury him. But they embalmed him, meaning like they mummified him. What does this Bible got have to say? Joseph was embalmed like Jacob and all the members of the Egyptian ruling class. Okay, so, but were they put into the ground? I guess it doesn't say, so how would any commentary say anything? Well, okay, that's it for Genesis. We finished Genesis. Tomorrow we're going to jump into Exodus. I'm curious to see how the writing is now, because now we're going to have first-hand accounts of Moses, right? All this while, Moses has been writing about what God had revealed to him, and then now we're going to get into Moses writing about what he personally witnessed. So I'm curious to see if the writing is going to be different, if there's going to be more details and whatnot. So yeah, look forward to that tomorrow, Exodus. And yeah, we finished Genesis, so that's pretty cool.
10.
Oops. All right, so that's it for today. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.